Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith, as always, kitchen. And today I thought we're actually going to do some brunch for dinner, and I thought that would be fun. So I thought we'd do some fajitas, chicken fajitas to be specific. And these are something that's quick, easy, prep time is minimal, cook time is minimal. And I think they're a lot of fun to make. We've made fajitas in the past, at least in our house. I may even have a video for it in the very beginning of all the dinner videos I ever did. And if I did, it's probably not that good of a video. Not that I think my videos are pristine, professionally done now, but I've learned a lot over the last couple years. So anyhow, that being said, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm glad you stopped by, found me, and I hope you get something out of this video and check out some of my other videos and get out of that. We bake, we cook, we do some gardening, basically all things food. If you're returning to my channel, thank you. I appreciate it. The emphasis on our channel, as always, is food, but it's also to be good neighbors and, have a good neighborhood, so to speak, even if it is on a social format. And I hope it bleeds out and trickles to others. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. It is down left shoulder over here. And right next to it's the notification bell. And that'll let you know when my videos come out. Thumbs up, thumbs down are important for a couple reasons. I know that by hitting that, it adds to your liked videos and things like that and can take up some space. But what it does is, A, it gives me an idea if you don't comment on how I'm doing, whether you thought the video was good or bad, recipe or otherwise. But it also puts us out into the algorithm, which gets us into more feeds. So which can, in turn, grow our neighborhood. We can have a giant community of good neighbors doing well by each other, I think. Comments, always welcome. I try to respond to all of them. Matter of fact, at the moment, I do respond to all of them. That's just because I don't have thousands of them coming, but you never know. This might be the video where, our neighborhood takes off and we gain millions and I can't keep up with comments, so on and so forth. But that being said, with comments, all I ask is you keep them respectful. It's okay to disagree, with anything I may do or say, but be respectful about it. We're a community of all ages, backgrounds, social economic statuses, things of that nature. And, it doesn't matter where we come from, be respectful. Think before you type. So, that being said, let me get the camera down here to where we can see what we got going on with our handful of ingredients here. And we can talk about a couple things you may need or ingredients. I will give them to you in cups, teaspoons, and tablespoons. Unlike baking where we go into grams, I don't really do grams with cooking because cooking is kind of a liberal thing. You make it your own. You may want to add a little more of this or a little less of that. So it doesn't have to be precise. But anyhow, let me get you down here to where we can see some things and we'll get started cooking. All right, hold on for me 1 second. Okay, down here to the counter. As always, I got the recipe written down. I'm trying to remember where I got this recipe from. I'll leave it down in the description. But I did get this, it was off the internet, obviously, for fajitas, and I've got it labeled as Fajitas 2.0, only because I do believe I have another fajitas recipe that is completely different than this one. And like I said, I may even have a video way back when that did it, but I want to show you again with this recipe. So, as always, recipe, if we like it, if it turns out good, we will stick with it, or we may change some things. If we don't like it at all, we'll throw it to the side, tear it out, and move on. All right, so first thing we're going to need is the recipe calls for a pound of chicken. Now, I don't know about your house, but a pound of chicken isn't a lot. This recipe, I think, would be good for it calls for up to 8 fajitas, and fajitas are small. So I doubled it, and I'm going with 2 pounds of chicken. And I thin sliced it. All I did to thin slice it was I cut the chicken breast vertically, so that way it was more even. We didn't have the big thick part and a thin part. We just had thin parts, and then I sliced it up. To this, I'm going to add salt and pepper to taste. So my salt and my pepper are about 1/4 teaspoon each. And then I've got The recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of cumin. I have 2 because I'm doubling it. And 1 teaspoon of chili powder. And I have 2 because I'm doubling it. And I'm going to put that in there. And then I'm going to throw on some gloves, because that's what I do. That way I can get in here and mix this all up. I mean, you don't have to wear gloves, but I prefer to wear gloves. That way I don't have the, chicken all over my hands. And chicken, no matter what kind of chicken it is, has salmonella on it. Because in the U.S. we don't use antibiotics with our chicken. That no producer does. It's against the law. And so chicken naturally, just like eggs, naturally has salmonella in it. And can make you sick. And you don't want that. And you want, to stay healthy. So by wearing gloves, I don't get it all over my hands. I don't have to try to get back into my sink to wash my hands afterwards, so to speak. And then that way we're good. So we got that all coated. Real nice. Doesn't take long. Like I said, this recipe's not hard. The hardest part about this is just the prep work that goes into it. And that's the slicing of the vegetables, and cutting up the chicken. Really, everything else kind of is on its own. Yeah, and prep time should be about maybe 15 minutes on this. I think it took me 15, 20 minutes to get everything prepped up all together. Okay, so we got that taken care of. Throw my gloves away. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to warm my skillet up. Now, you don't have to use cast iron. I use cast iron because that's all we have. That's all we use. I don't buy into the non-stick, Teflon coated skillets. If that's your thing, awesome. I'm not real big a fan of the chemicals that are on it. And the fact that you have to replace those skillets about every 3 to 5 years, I think can be kind of a waste of money, based on the fact I'll be able to pass this skillet down to, endless generations. This particular skillet here, I don't think you can see, but the bottom of it, that skillet's about 65 years old. This skillet here is about 40 years old, and it's still got a ton of life left into it. I'm the second generation that has owned this skillet, and I'll be able to pass these on to our kids. So I got my skillet warming up, turning it on about medium high. And then I'm going to put about a tablespoon's worth of canola oil in it. You don't have to use canola oil. You can use, maybe a light flavored olive oil or a vegetable oil. You want a high heat oil. And we're going to get this warmed up, and then when I come back, we'll talk about what we're going to do with the chicken. All right, see you in 1 second. All right, our oil is lightly smoking. It's dancing in the pan. And another way you can check oil is with a wooden utensil. You just have to make sure it doesn't have any coatings on it. And if you stick it in your oil, it should, I know you probably can't see it because this is small, but the oil should start bubbling around the wooden spoon. Remember, I know you can't see it because it is really small. And that way we know it's hot enough. Those are 3 ways to tell if your oil is ready to go. So the next thing we're going to do is grab a spoon, because I'm not prepared, or a spatula or something of that extent. I've got this, which is like a spoon, because it's a spoon, but it's got a nice edge on it like a spatula. And we're going to put our chicken in here, and we're going to cook it for about 5 to 7 minutes. We want to get this chicken done. And if you are using cast iron, unlike non-stick, you don't really want to move your chicken around a whole lot for the first minute or so, which gives it that nice sear to it. So we're going to go ahead and get this cooked, and then we'll move on to the next steps. Okay, so our meat is done. So I went ahead and cleaned out my bowl that we had it in, and then we will just we're going to take all this chicken out of here, just like such. Alright, got our chicken out of there. So now we're not going to do anything. We're not going to clean the pan, nothing. To this, I'm going to add about a cup, well, it'd be about 2 cups or about 8 ounces worth of mushrooms in my case, but you want 1 cup of sliced white button top mushrooms, one medium to small onion, small to medium onion, and one sliced red bell pepper. And I mean, in fairly small slice, but not too big. They're going to shrink a little bit. And like I said, I doubled mine because I'm doubling the recipe as far as meat and vegetables go, and spices, I guess. So everything. I have found if you're going to double a recipe, a lot of times the only thing you don't want to double is the sauce in a lot of stuff. And then the last thing we're going to add to this is about I have 4 garlic cloves in there, and it'll really depend on the size and how much you like garlic, but I've got some chopped garlic. Throw that in there. So we've got a sliced red pepper, we've got a sliced onion, some sliced mushrooms, and some chopped garlic. And we're just going to saute these, and they're going to take about 5-6 minutes. And then we can move on to the last and final step before we eat. Okay, so a couple things that I wanted to touch on real quick with the peppers and the onions and stuff when you're doing them. I just added a pinch of salt to this. It doesn't call for it in the recipe, but what it'll do is help bring out those flavors and help bring out the moisture in the onions and mushrooms and the peppers. Another thing I'm going to do, because this pan got dry relatively quickly, is I'm just going to put a little more oil in here. And in this case, I'm just using a little bit of grapeseed oil. It doesn't have, that particular brand doesn't have a heavy flavor to it. It won't affect anything. But I wanted to bring that to you, even though it didn't call it in the recipe. I just know from experience that that should happen. So when I come back, we'll button this up. Okay, got our vegetables nice and softened and looking good. Bring it up there so you can see them. Those look amazing. Get the mushroom off the burner there. And so next things we're going to do to this is we're going to put our chicken back in. And you want to make sure you get any of those juices that are in your bowl back into that skillet, which there wasn't a whole lot. And to this, we're going to add 1.5 tablespoons of lime juice, fresh squeezed if you've got it, if you've got some limes, or if you don't, bottled lime juice will also work. I have grown rather fond of key lime juice. It's a little stronger in the tartness and the lime category. And then the last thing we're going to add to this is some chipotle peppers and adobo sauce. Now you can chop these up before you put them in, but I have found that you don't really need to, because as we sit here and stir this up and let it warm, they actually just kind of fall apart. Now, if you don't want that kind of heat, I don't think personally that they're very hot, but that's just me personally, and neither do the rest of the family. Abby's kind of hit and miss on chipotles, so I don't put a lot in here. I think there's about 1.5 total in here. But anyhow, point being, if you don't care for that kind of heat, you can also replace that with a green chili, like a green chilies in a can, things of that nature. Or you don't have to have them at all. I had even taunted with the idea of just putting adobo sauce in here, because adobo sauce has a kick to it, but it's not nearly the chipotle adobo sauce kick. Chipotles are nothing more than a smoked jalapeno that are then covered in adobo sauce, and as I drop another piece of chicken. So we got our lime juice in here, we got our chilies in here, and I am going to take a piece out of here and give it a taste. Make sure it doesn't need any more salt or pepper. I think we're perfect. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these cook on low for 3 or 4 minutes. Let everybody get to know each other. And then we'll put a fajita together and give it a taste. So we let our fajita mix all mingle together and looking good. Hey, 1 second there and we'll lift her up so you can see her. But there we are. I think that looks absolutely gorgeous. So all we got left to do is throw it together on a fajita, a little soft shell fajita shell, like such. Now I don't make my own, not yet, but someday. And all we got to do is make sure we get a little bit of everything on there: the onions, the mushrooms, the peppers, the chicken, of course, because that's important. And then I'm going to top that with just a little bit of cheese, just like such. And when it comes to cheese, I think the recipe called for cheddar, but use whatever cheese you like. I'm using a Colby Jack, and then we're just going to put a little bit of chopped fresh cilantro on there, just like such. So, and there is our fajita inside and out. And now all we got to do is just give it a taste. I think it'll be, I know it smells good, it looks good, and let me get my glasses off so you don't have that glare. But how does it taste? You know, that's the important thing. So I know the recipe had a 5-star rating, and like I said, I'll leave the whose original recipe this was down in the link below, because I'm always about giving credit when credit is due, you know, hands down, or even when it's not due. But at any rate, let's give it a taste and see how we go. That is good. It's got a little bit of kick with the adobe, with the chipotle peppers and adobe sauce. But I can taste the chili powder. I can taste the fresh garlic, peppers, onions. That fresh cilantro on there is off the hook. Now, if you don't like cilantro, you obviously don't have to put it on there. You can top these with pretty much anything you'd like. But I thought cheese and cilantro, I like both of those. And yeah, the recipe called for those as options for topping. You can taste the lime juice. Now, if you have a fresh lime, you can slice that bad boy up, give it a little twist on there to get that fresh lime juice on there also, but I can taste the lime juice in this. I think it adds to it nicely. The mushrooms I thought were going to be a little weird because I've never had mushrooms in a fajita, but it actually adds to it. I think this is good. Try this recipe, hands down. Get this last little bit of fajita in here because it's really good. Yeah, that was. That's a spot-on recipe. It's quick. It's easy. I think altogether, yeah, with me talking, it took 35 minutes. Yeah, so, and that was with me sitting here explaining what was going on and my intro. That's not bad. That's a quick, easy weeknight meal. And if you pre-plan and prep your vegetables, you know, like when you go to the store and buy them, this meal shouldn't take more than like 15 minutes, hands down. You know, maybe 20. So, try this. These fajitas are packed full of flavor, got a nice balance of heat and savory and just everything in between. Yeah, I know I like these. I will eat these again soon, I'm sure. So, try them. Let me know what you think. You know, be like, Brian, these were great. You know, Brian, these are horrible. Let me know if you do something different with your fajitas than what we did here, or if you add something different, or, you know, like the green chilies versus the adobe peppers, the chipotle peppers and adobe sauce, adobo sauce, adobe. But either way, let me know if you try this. Whether you liked it, hated it, do something different. Either way, I think it'd be amazing, and I'd be interested to hear. So, that being said, tomorrow for dessert, I'm not really sure what we're going to do yet, but I'm leaning towards a cheesecake, Milky Way cheesecake brownie for tomorrow. A friend of mine shared this on Facebook, and they look ridiculously good. And I like everything that's in it. Brownies, cheesecake, Milky Way candy bars. You can't go wrong with that, really. So I think that's probably what we're going to do, but I never know until the day comes. So, till tomorrow for what could potentially be cheesecake, Milky Way brownies. I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true, and I mean it with the utmost sincerity. Tell somebody else you love them, and that you love them very much. Make them some of these fajitas. They're going to know it with every bite that you love them, and it's going to make their day a whole lot better, I guarantee it. Or it'll make them smile at the end of a rough day. So, till tomorrow, I love you. I'll see you then. All right?